Do you tense up when you speak Italian? Does deciding which tense to use stress you out? Do you use the passato prossimo or do you use the imperfetto? And when do you use the dreaded congiuntivo? It's enough to make you say, Mamma mia! If you want a future where you speak Italian like a native, you need to learn all Italian tenses, from past to present and beyond. The problem is that there are 15 of them. But don't worry, in this lesson I'm going to teach you all 15 Italian tenses and how and when to use them, including plenty of example sentences. To continue your learning and to help you practice these Italian tenses, make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet for this lesson, which you'll find a link to in the description below this video. Pronti? Cominciamo! Whenever we're giving directions on the street, ordering food at a cafe, or making small talk with a friend, we use verbs. Verbs are the core of a sentence because they enable us to express ourselves in a variety of situations and say a lot with very little in a concise and clear way. In grammar terms, a verb is a word that you can place to in front of, like to read, which is leggere in Italian. This form itself, however, doesn't tell us who is doing the action nor when they do it. This is why in speaking and writing, we need to change the verbs. For example, if you say he's reading a book,
Lui legge un libro.
Then lui, is the person doing the action. Not only are you changing the person of the verb, but also the time. For example, if you say, he read a book yesterday,
Lui ha letto un libro ieri.
We're talking about the past. While if we say, he will read a book tomorrow,
Lui leggerà un libro domani.
This is in the future. This process of changing verbs is called conjugating. If you want to learn more about how to conjugate verbs, watch this video here. So when we talk about conjugation, we're talking about the act of changing a verb. So we can say what we want to convey in terms of who is doing the action and when. Is it happening now, in the present? Did it already happen in the past? Or will it happen in the future? All of these different times of speaking are called tenses. The more you learn Italian, the more tenses you will encounter. We'll take a look at how to group Italian tenses into different categories called modes. Now, each mode is basically a way of talking. Am I expressing an opinion, giving advice, talking about future plans, making a wish, or telling a story? Each of these groups requires a different grammar structure expressed by the mode and tenses, which are subcategories of modes. The modes we need to know are the indicative, the conditional, the imperative, and the subjunctive. Let's take a look at the indicative mode. The indicative mode is also called the mode of reality. It is used to express facts, statements, events in the past, present, and future. It has 8 different tenses, and we'll see each of them one by one, starting with the present tense. The present indicative tense describes an action or situation that is happening now in the present time. The present tense is also used to express facts, universal truths, and repeated actions in the present, to talk about fixed plans and something that will happen in the near future. It is the most common tense used in everyday conversation, so here are some examples.
L'acqua bolle a 100 gradi.
The water boils at 100 degrees.
Ogni giorno Giada va al lavoro in bicicletta.
Every day, Giada goes to work by bike.
Mia madre lavora come infermiera.
My mother works as a nurse.
Il treno parte alle 5 in punto.
The train leaves at 5 o'clock. The next Italian tense is the passato prossimo. The passato prossimo is an Italian tense used to talk about past events. In particular, it describes events and actions that occurred at a definite time in the past and that have a beginning and an end. This is a so-called compound tense because it is made up of 2 parts. To understand this better, think of the English perfect tense like I have done, you have eaten, she has gone. The have-has part in Italian is the present tense of essere and avere. The second word is the so-called past participle, similar to the English ed form, as in talked, worked, cooked, and so on. But then we have irregular ones like done, eaten, and gone. To form the past participle in Italian, we take the main verb, the full infinitive of the verb, such as
parlare, cadere, dormire,
and add 3 different endings
ato, uto, ito,
to the stem of the verb after dropping the infinitive ending. So the past participles of parlare, to talk, cadere, to fall, and dormire, to sleep, are as follows.
parlato, caduto, dormito.
Attenzione! Some verbs have an irregular form which must be learned by heart. Here are some of the most common.
Fare, fatto, scrivere, scritto, leggere, letto, prendere, preso, dire, detto.
Most verbs form the passato prossimo with the verb avere. Now, other verbs form the passato prossimo with essere. Typically, these are verbs like
svegliarsi,
to wake oneself,
lavarsi,
to wash oneself, and so on. And verbs that are mainly used to talk about movement or a change of some kind, including
andare,
to go,
venire,
to come,
nascere,
to be born,
partire,
to leave,
uscire,
to go out,
diventare.
to become, and so on. When essere is used to form the passato prossimo, the past participle agrees with the person of the verb in terms of gender and number. For example,
sono uscita con I miei amici.
I went out with my friends. The person is lei, which is feminine singular. Here are some more example sentences on verbs in the passato prossimo.
Sabato scorso, per cena, ho mangiato la pizza.
Last Saturday, I had pizza for dinner.
Ieri abbiamo incontrato la professoressa di italiano al mercato.
Yesterday, we met the Italian teacher at the market.
Cristina è nata il 23 ottobre 1992.
Christina was born on October 23rd, 1992. The next tense we're going to learn is the imperfect tense. Now, the Italian imperfect tense, or l'imperfetto, is also used to talk about past events. But, unlike the passato prossimo, we use it for descriptions, repeated actions, moods, and feelings, your childhood, and in general to give the context or frame or background of events in the past. It translates to the English used to. Here are some example sentences.
Da piccoli, io e mio cugino giocavamo sempre ai videogiochi.
When we were kids, my cousin and I played video games all the time.
Quando era giovane, mia mamma lavorava in una fabbrica di biscotti.
When she was young, my mum worked in a cookie factory.
La casa era grande e luminosa.
The house was big and bright. The next Italian tense is the past perfect. Now, the past perfect tense in Italian is called Trapassato prossimo. And like the English, I had said, you had gone, we had seen, and so on, it is used to describe a completed action that happened before another completed action in the past. It is a compound tense formed by 2 pasts, the imperfect tense of essere or avere, and the past participle of the verb. For example,
Eri uscito.
you had gone out.
Avevo mangiato.
I had eaten. It is often used in combination with other kinds of past tense. Here are some examples.
Quando Claudio è arrivato alla fermata dell'autobus, l'autobus era già partito.
When Claudio arrived at the bus stop, the train had already left.
Nessuno ci aveva detto cosa era successo.
No one had told us what had happened.
Alice si ricordava di Luca. L'aveva conosciuto 5 anni prima.
Alice remembered Luca. She had met him 5 years earlier. The next Italian tense is the simple future. We use the future to talk about something that will happen or that will be true. However, the simple future in Italian is not used as extensively as the English future with will or going to. In Italian, the simple future expresses the idea of a distant or uncertain future more than a fixed plan. For example,
Da grande Giulio farà il pilota.
when he grows up, Giulio will be a pilot.
Tra qualche anno cambierò la macchina.
In a few years, I will change the car.
Dopo la scuola, Linda frequenterà l'Accademia delle Belle Arti.
After school, Linda will attend the Academy of Fine Arts. The next Italian tense is the compound future. Now, as the name suggests, the compound future is a compound tense, formed by the simple future of essere or avere and the past participle of the verb. Often used in combination with the simple future, it indicates an action that happened before the action expressed by the simple future. It also translates the English will have plus ed. For example,
Dopo che avrò preparato la valigia, potrò riposarmi.
after I pack my suitcase, I can rest.
Tra una settimana, come oggi, avrai già fatto l'esame.
A week from today, you will have already taken the exam.
Non appena saremo arrivati a destinazione, vi chiameremo.
As soon as we arrive at our destination, we will call you. The next Italian tense is the remote past. Now, the Italian remote past, also called passato remoto, is another past tense. In writing, the remote past is often found only in literature and narrative, and to talk about historical facts and events. In speaking, it is used more exclusively in southern Italy, while in the north, the passato prossimo tense is preferred. Here are some example sentences.
Dante scrisse la Divina Commedia.
Dante wrote the Divine Comedy.
Mia nonna nacque negli Stati Uniti.
My grandma was born in the US.
Chiamai Elisabetta per darle la notizia.
I called Elizabeth to tell her the news. The next Italian tense is the preterite past. The preterite past, or the trapassato remoto in Italian, is even rarer than the remote past, as it refers to an action that took place in the past, long ago, before another action introduced by the passato remoto. In writing, it adds a more sophisticated nuance to the sequence of actions, but you will never find it in spoken Italian. Here are some example sentences.
Solo dopo che ebbe scoperto il suo tradimento, decise di vendicarsi.
Only after he discovered his treachery did he decide to take revenge.
Dopo che ebbero ucciso il re, scoppiò la rivolta.
After they had killed the king, revolt broke out. Now we're going to take a look at the conditional mode. Now, the conditional is the mode of wish and desire. It is used to express what we would, should, or could do. The conditional mode has two tenses, the present and the past conditional. Let's take a look at the present conditional first. We use the present conditional to express a desire, a wish, to make a request in a polite way, to express uncertainty, personal opinions, and probabilities, or to give advice in relation to the present time. Here are some examples.
Vorrei un bicchiere d'acqua, per favore.
I would like a glass of water, please.
Gli piacerebbe comprare una casa al mare.
He would like to buy a house by the sea.
Potrebbe ripetere, per favore?
Could you repeat that, please?
Cosa faresti al mio posto?
What would you do in my place?
Non dovresti mangiare così di fretta.
You shouldn't eat in such a hurry.
Il corriere potrebbe arrivare tra le 2 e le 4.
The courier could arrive between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. Then we have the past conditional. Similar to the present conditional, the past conditional expresses desire, wish, or possibility, but in the past. The only case when we can't use the past conditional is to make a polite request. The past conditional describes something that could have, might have, should have happened, and that can't be changed anymore. That is why it is often followed by a sentence introduced by
Ma,
but,
tuttavia.
however, to show the contrast with reality. From a grammatical point of view, the past conditional is a compound tense. It is formed by the present conditional of the verbs essere and avere plus the past participle of the verb. Here are some example sentences.
Giovanni sarebbe andato in palestra, ma non ha avuto tempo.
Giovanni would have gone to the gym, but he didn't have time.
Le sarebbe piaciuto crescere in montagna invece che in città.
She would have liked to grow up in the mountains instead of the city.
Vi avremmo avvisato con un messaggio, ma non c'era campo.
We would have notified you with a message, but there was no service.
Non avrei dovuto spendere così tanti soldi.
I shouldn't have spent so much money.
Avrebbero voluto studiare in Italia.
They would have liked to study in Italy. The next mode we're going to look at is the imperative mode. The imperative mode is used to give advice, orders, commands, suggestions in a direct way. Now, depending on the tone used and the context, imperative sentences can be interpreted as more or less rude. The imperative mode only has one tense, the present tense. Unlike other tenses, you can't use all the subjects in the imperative, but only tu, lei, noi, and voi. A verb in the imperative in Italian looks like this.
Mangia.
Eat.
Non abbia paura.
Don't be afraid.
Andiamo a fare un aperitivo.
Let's go have an aperitif.
Aiutate i vostri genitori.
Help your parents. The positive imperative uses the same forms of the present indicative tense for the subjects tu, noi, and voi, but the present subjunctive, and we'll see this in a minute, is used for lei. Note that with the verbs ending in are, in the tu form, we have to add an a to the ending. The negative imperative is formed by placing non in front of the verb. In the tu form of the verb, the full verb, while all the other persons or subjects keep the same form of the positive imperative. Take a look at these examples.
Non dimenticare il passaporto.
Don't forget your passport.
Non tornate troppo tardi.
Don't come back too late. There are also verbs with an irregular imperative form and verbs which allow two forms, one regular and one irregular. Typically, these are short verbs like
dare, fare, dire, stare,
but also,
andare, sapere.
for example,
Fai una doccia.
take a shower,
Di la verità.
tell the truth,
State calmi.
be quiet,
Vada in fondo alla fila.
go to the end of the line. You can make an imperative sentence sound more polite by placing per favore at the end or by adding pure or prego. For example,
Si sieda pure.
please take a seat.
Prego, entrate.
Please come in.
Inizia pure.
You may start. The last mode we're going to look at is the subjunctive mode, or il congiuntivo. Probably the most dreaded mode by learners of Italian, the subjunctive is the mode of unreality, hypothetical situations, and impossibility. It is used to express opinions, feelings, hope, and uncertainty, and with certain fixed phrases. There are 4 tenses in the subjunctive: the present, the past, the imperfect, and the past perfect. Let's take a look at the present subjunctive first. There are many cases where the present subjunctive needs to be used. This includes verbs of opinion, hope, uncertainty, fear, doubt, and feelings, and expressions such as
Sono felice, triste, che.
I'm happy, sad that.
È necessario che. Bisogna che.
It is necessary that. And with words like
Nonostante. Benché.
although, expressions like the more or less than. The present subjunctive is used when the verb before che is in the present indicative tense. Here are some example sentences.
Penso che lui dica la verità.
I think he is telling the truth.
Preferisce che tu vada con lei.
She prefers you go with her.
Non è sicuro che ci sia anche Paola alla festa.
It's not certain that Paola will be at the party too.
Nonostante faccia caldo, Luisa indossa una giacca.
Although it is hot, Louisa is wearing a jacket.
Lorenzo è la persona più simpatica che conosca.
Lorenzo is the nicest person I know. Attenzione! A clarification needs to be made here. The word che is not necessarily an indicator that the subjunctive has to be used. Even though this is true most of the time, remember that the subjunctive expresses uncertainty. So when something is certain, like in the following sentence, we don't need the present subjunctive, but the present indicative instead. Take a look at this.
So che tu sei una brava persona.
I know you are a good person. According to the speaker, this is not an opinion, it's a fact. The next tense is the past subjunctive. Now, the past subjunctive is a compound tense, so it is formed by two words, the present subjunctive of the verb essere or avere, and the past participle of the verb. It is used in the same cases of the present tense. The past subjunctive is used to express a past action that happened before another action described with the present indicative tense verb in the sentence before che. This time relationship between the two verbs is called anteriority. Take a look at these examples.
Spero che abbiate già mangiato.
I hope you have already eaten.
Sembra che Giorgio abbia conosciuto una ragazza alla festa.
It seems that Giorgio has met a girl at the party.
Temo che Rita si sia dimenticata di farmi gli auguri.
I'm afraid Rita forgot to wish me a happy birthday.
Nonostante io le abbia detto di venire alle 9, Clara è arrivata alle 9:30.
Although I told her to come at 9 o'clock, Clara arrived at 9:30.
Questa è la cosa più bella che abbia mai visto.
This is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. The next tense is the imperfect subjunctive. Similar to the present subjunctive, the imperfect subjunctive is a simple tense, meaning it has only one word. It is used with the same kind of verbs that we saw for the present subjunctive,
Sperare, credere, pensare.
and the same grammar structures. But this time, the verb before the che is in the imperfect indicative tense. See the following examples.
Era necessario che tu mi chiamassi.
It was necessary for you to call me.
Speravo che la nostra relazione non finisse mai.
I hoped our relationship would never end.
Avevamo paura che l'esame fosse andato male.
We were afraid that the exam had gone wrong.
Sembrava che Greta fosse triste.
It seemed that Greta was sad.
Sebbene fosse malata, Giulia è andata al colloquio di lavoro.
Although she was sick, Julia went to the job interview. Now, this can also be found in hypothetical sentences expressing possibility. For example,
Se avessi un lavoro meno stressante, sarei più felice.
if I had a less stressful job, I'd be happier. As you can see, in this type of sentence, the imperfect subjunctive is used in combination with the present conditional tense. The next tense is the past perfect subjunctive. The past perfect subjunctive is a compound tense formed by the imperfect subjunctive of essere or avere plus the past participle of the verb. Just like the past subjunctive, the past perfect subjunctive is used to express a relationship of anteriority with the verb before che. So, the action expressed by the subjunctive occurred before the action expressed by the other verb, usually in the past conditional, imperfect indicative, or passato prossimo tense. Take a look at these examples.
Pensavamo che Roberta e Lucia si fossero già incontrate prima.
We thought Roberta and Lucia had met before.
Ero contento che mi avessero dato quel lavoro.
I was glad they had given me that job.
Aveva paura che lui le avesse mentito.
She was afraid that he had lied to her.
Pareva che non si fossero accorti dell'accaduto.
They didn't seem to notice what had happened.
Speravamo che tutti si fossero divertiti alla festa.
We hoped everyone had had a good time at the party. The past perfect subjunctive can also be found in hypothetical sentences expressing impossibility. For example,
Se fossi stato al tuo posto, mi sarei licenziato.
if I had been in your place, I would have quit the job. As you can see, in this type of sentence, the past perfect subjunctive is used in combination with the past conditional tense. So now that you know all the Italian tenses, make sure you keep practicing and download your free PDF cheat sheet for this lesson, which you'll find a link to in the description below this video. To make sure you never miss a future lesson, hit the subscribe button and turn on those notifications. Do you feel lost choosing between Italian tenses? Do you want to feel confident and master all Italian tenses that native speakers use in everyday conversation? Well, now you can. Introducing my Intrepid Italian 30-Day Tenses Challenge. Crack the code and understand how and when to use all Italian tenses, with daily lessons, exercises, and plenty of examples. Imagine what it will feel like when you can speak Italian and you instinctively know which tense to use. Incredible, right? Using my unique 80-20 method, this challenge will help you unblock your Italian so you never tense up when speaking Italian again. No more blank looks, no more wondering which tense to use, and most importantly, no more constantly doubting yourself. Registrations are now open to join the Intrepid Italian 30-Day Tenses Challenge. But hurry, registrations close soon. The link is in the description below.